Some time ago, Jesse James West undertook an experiment with semen retention. He's also a bodybuilder that has performed on stage recently in the men's physique category, which means his results may be particularly interesting for people building their physique. He underwent 30 days of complete sexual abstinence. He decided to measure his total and free testosterone level before and after finishing the test. The challenge definitely wasn't easy for him. During that time, James was irritable, slightly jittery, although as he says, he was also more disciplined and focused on pursuing the goal. After the third week, Jesse noticed higher levels of motivation and energy to act. What is interesting, his free testosterone tested before the start of the experiment was only 40.7 nanograms per deciliter, which is a suboptimal value. After 30 days, the values of his total testosterone increased, and free testosterone got back to normal, measuring 56.8 nanograms per deciliter. Another popular YouTuber that underwent a similar experiment is Hastings, who went a step further and decided to last a whole 90 days. His channel is focused on personal development, which means this time we will get to look at the results from a different point of view from the one focused on the gym and physique building. Cole admits that in the past he used to watch porn almost every day, and his challenge was meant to push him towards a positive change of that fact. After 90 days of the test, his sense of agency as well as control over sex drive improved significantly. Similar to James West, his life energy increased significantly. He also mentions many other benefits, such as regaining control over his own life, higher confidence, and easier concentration, which improved his productivity. Among the positive effects, he also lists improved physique, although this is more like a result of normal progress at the gym and not of semen retention. But before we jump to conclusions, it is worth noting that androgen level fluctuations may change drastically depending on the caloric supply, amount of sleep, stress, and many other factors. Even one sleepless night may significantly lower our results. In case of James, his results on the verge of hypogonadism before starting the experiment may have been a result of a longer caloric deficit period. It cannot be ruled out either that his results may have been influenced by taking anabolics in the past. In short, his results should not be taken as a confirmation of positive effects of semen retention, as there are too many variables that may interfere with the results, and his subjective experiences, such as increased motivation, may be just autosuggestion or the placebo effect. What is semen retention? It is a practice that consists of suppressing ejaculation or retaining the sperm. There are two ways to practice this method. The first of them is complete sexual abstinence, while the other includes maintaining sexual initiation but with the orgasm phase omitted. At first glance, it may seem that it's a relatively new concept, although one has to remember that it's a misleading impression. The idea discussed today was already known and utilized back in the ancient times, where it constituted a pretty common sexual practice depending on the region. Its most known application in culture seems to be Chinese erotica, dating back all the way to the 17th century. By going through these opinions, one can compile a group of the most frequent benefits mentioned in relations of users who undergo semen retention. These are mainly improvement in well-being, better sleep, deeper voice, improved quality of skin or hair, better sports performance, more energy throughout the day. Improved well-being is allegedly tied to regulation of the dopamine system and to the sense of self-control. Better sleep is supposed to be caused by regulating the hormonal system. Increased testosterone is also supposed to be the main factor determining deeper voice. The improved quality of hair or skin, according to observations, is allegedly correlated with adequate keratin level. Better sport performance, according to the opinion's authors, is caused both by regulating the dopamine system and increased testosterone level. Scientific literature does not provide any specific data related to the risk of semen retention. The only medical case that may show a correlation with semen retention is epididymal hypertension. However, this is a condition that is mainly caused by prolonged sexual arousal. It manifests itself in pain and heavy sensation in one or both testicles, but it doesn't constitute a medical emergency. One way to alleviate the pain may be reduction of sexual arousal or ejaculation. Scientific literature on semen retention is so limited that it is hard to reach definitive conclusions. One can, however, follow the limited amount of scientific publications on the topic and draw certain hypotheses. The improved well-being may indeed be a registered benefit in research papers on the topic of ejaculations. However, it doesn't necessarily have to be correlated with semen retention. We're talking about people addicted to pornography. They may have an impaired dopamine system and acquired bad patterns arising from excessive consumption of adult content. At first glance, one can conclude that semen retention could constitute a potential corrective mechanism. The thesis that semen retention won't increase any of the parameters that could be correlated with improved well-being is supported by a publication that says that on its own. Refraining from ejaculation over a period of 3 weeks won't actually cause any major changes in the physical or nervous system. There's also a study that could serve as a contrary to this type of claim about semen retention leading to improved well-being and self-esteem. We're talking about a 1991 publication indicating that married women who masturbate have higher self-esteem compared to a group of married women who don't. We need to keep in mind, though, that the study was on partnered sex, and it carries certain limitations in the context of the topic discussed today. There is no evidence that would correlate the actual influence of the sexual practice discussed with better sleep, improved quality of skin or hair, and changed voice parameters. Most often, researchers describe the above-mentioned benefits as a placebo effect. As for the improvement of sport parameters, the situation here is also inconclusive. In defense of the observation on sport results, one should cite a 2003 publication that showed a link between ejaculation and testosterone level in blood serum. The study was conducted on 28 participants, where the peak testosterone level was reached on the 7th day of absence of ejaculations. One could also use a 2001 scientific article where the researchers had documented elevated testosterone level in men who refrained from masturbation for 3 weeks. Also pretty interesting in the context of our deliberations seems to be a 2007 study where it was proven on animals that with more frequent masturbation, the androgen receptor level in the brain that allowed to utilize testosterone was lower. The conclusions coming from these publications are actually limited due to the imperfections arising from the research methods or the limited study group. First of all, documenting something on an animal model doesn't allow to draw the same conclusions in relation to people. On the other hand, the research papers from 2003 and 2001 are relatively small studies, where the study group didn't have enough members for the achieved conclusions to have a conclusive character. What we lack is a larger-scale publication. On the other hand, there is a 2000 publication conducted on male athletes that indicates that the sexual activity undertaken by them had no impact on results in sport. However, having sexual intercourse 2 hours before a sport performance may have had an impact on the player's performance. It's also worth noting that there are publications indicating that too long sexual abstinence leads to lowered sperm quality, and based on that, researchers suggest that sexual abstinence was not longer than 10 days. On top of that, we will find publications suggesting a negative correlation between masturbation and prostate cancer. Even if we assume that in case of using the semen retention practice, there is an increased concentration of testosterone level in the body, one has to answer the question of how significant such increase actually is. The pro-anabolic effect of testosterone is well documented, but can a potential increased concentration of it due to semen retention be a game changer in our workout? I think that the answer for every individual will depend on many factors. The scientific literature on its own doesn't provide us with strong suggestions standing on one side or the other. It's also worth mentioning the fact that the therapies that promote abstaining from masturbation and pornography form a market that is becoming increasingly popular. It is therefore reasonable to assume that some of the articles on this topic that we can find online will be nothing more than advertising publications. They will provide us with information on the potential benefits arising from quitting pornography or masturbation using semen retention. In the end, the value of these benefits indicated by the content of the advertisement will be as big as if the method was meant to be a panacea for all our problems. This type of marketing stunt will at the same time encourage to purchase the proprietary therapy of the article's author that will guide us through the semen retention process. In reality, the best way to find out whether using this practice will be the right treatment for us in relation to the gym will be testing it on ourselves. Limiting masturbation can definitely teach us self-control, and increased level of discipline in everyday life may also have a positive impact on our workout performance. By approaching training in a more disciplined manner, in the future we may achieve better benefits arising from training itself. Lack of masturbation may contribute to increased energy throughout the day. This is related to the fact of releasing prolactin during ejaculation, which may make us drowsy. We need to keep in mind that, when it comes to hypertrophy, it will be mainly promoted by providing large enough stimuli and the body adapting to mechanical stimulation. On the other hand, improvement of motor parameters will primarily depend on the adequate selection of exercises and workout programming. Which is why we should ask again, can semen retention constitute a game changer in our workout? Without a doubt, it will be an interesting experience, but it won't give us the same effects as adequate workout programming, diet, or stimulation in terms of hypertrophy. If we feel that this kind of treatment can improve our daily functioning and that we feel good, we may continue such practice. Why not?